Now I think it's perfect time to talk about all the list of tasks available in Ant. I have listed down all the most commonly used Ant tasks. There are a few more tasks that I haven't listed here. The reason is they're not either used commonly or they're not of high importance. And in fact, I think we have covered about 70 to 80% of tasks available in Ant. And I'm going to walk you through each one of these. I've actually picked up these definitions from the official apache.org website. In fact, each and every task name that you're seeing here is an URL that will take you to the documentation of that particular task. You can just click on Control key and then click these tag names, and that will take you to the respective documentation of that particular task. So first let's start with this EAR task. This will help you create an enterprise application archive. That's what EAR stands for. And this is basically a combination of jar files as well as the var files, and that's why we have to define those two in here. We're including all the jar files and var files, and we're picking them from this directory. So we've used this type file set to be able to bundle them as an enterprise application archive with the name myapp.ear. Very simple. And if you're aware of enterprise applications, you probably know the significance of application.xml. If you don't, that's fine as well. Just try to understand what this task is doing, basically creating an archive file. And similarly, we have another task for jar that will create a jar file and is actually a combination of a bunch of .class files as well as some resources like properties files or XML files, etc. The web archive file is actually a combination of jar files as well as some client-side technologies like HTML, JSP, CSS, images, etc. And this is the task used to create a var file. We're actually going to take a look at this example when we try to write a build.xml file for our sample application. And if you're aware of Linux, you probably know what is RPM. It is kind of like an installer for Linux. Just as we have .exe file for Windows, we have RPM for Linux. In order to build one, we can use this task, and you will give the spec file with this attribute. The tar file is equivalent to a zip file for Linux, and using this task you can create a tar file. You provide the base directory that you wanted to bundle as a tar file with this name manual.tar and in this directory. Gzip is coming next, and zip file, you know what it is, and here is the task to create one. And all these three tasks are equivalent to unzip for the following archives. For jar file it's unjar, and for tar file it's untar, and for var file it's unvar. As simple as that. And these are actually a list of algorithms you use to create these archives. And if you created an archive file using these algorithms, then you can use the following tasks to unpack those files. And as part of compile tasks, we have javac. We know what it is. We've actually taken a look at an example of one. We're going to talk about the Java doc tasks pretty soon, so we'll skip it for now. And these are a set of execution tasks. The task Ant will help you run the Ant target by specifying the Ant file. In this case, we want to run the target compile in the Ant file subbuild.xml under the directory subproject. Now this path is relative to the base directory of this project. The Ant call task will help you run another target residing in the same XML document, an example of which you can see it over here. We have this target default, and we're trying to call another target from within it. In this case, we're calling this another target, which is this, and is just simply going to print a message. And do take a note that the message that it prints is sent as a parameter. So you can also send a parameter to an Ant target like this. You provide the name as well as the value, and you can print the value by using its name, and you have to follow the following syntax: dollar curly brace, and you end with a curly brace. Or alternatively, you can also send a parameter directly from the command line by using this option -D, and then you provide the name and the value that you want to assign to it. Pretty straightforward. The exec command does a variety of tasks and it has multiple options in it. In this case, we're trying to open the index.xml file in the browser. In here, you can use various options. You can refer to the documentation and take a look at various options available for you to provide in here. So this is a task exec, and then you provide executable is going to be this browser. You would point to the browser's executable file, and then you provide the file that you want to open in the browser. Just try to understand it. Pretty simple. We know about the task Java. It will help us execute a Java program, and in this case the class file that we're pointing to is main class, and then we're providing the class path. We've seen an example of the same as well. The sleep task will help you suspend the execution of an Ant file for a certain period of time. There could be certain scenarios where you might need to wait for a certain time before you execute a task. For example, let's say that you have a couple of tasks. One is to upload a file and the other is to download the same file. Then the download task needs to wait for a certain period of time for upload to happen. Just to give you an example. This is a list of file tasks that will help you manipulate with files. And in here, this task attrib will help you set the permissions of a file in the Windows operating system. In this case, we want to set the file permission of this file to read-only mode, and we want it to hide it. And this task will actually help you manipulate the group ownership of a file or list of files. And this is actually relevant to Linux operating system. So you should have some understanding on the commands that you run on Linux to set the file permissions, etc. Then you probably know this command, change group. And same is the case with this. chmod will help you set permissions of a file or set of files inside a directory. And chown stands for change owner, and this is again a Linux command. The equivalent of that command is this task. And if you know what this command does in Linux, then you probably know what this task is doing in here. The copy command will help you copy a file or set of files or a directory based on what you provide in here, the file set type. And the delete task, as the name suggests, it will help you delete a file or set of files or a directory. As simple as that. We know what filter does. Pretty straightforward. In this example, we wanted to copy a set of files from source directory to destination directory, and while doing so we want to replace the string year with 2000. And using get command you can get a file from a URL. So this will essentially download this file index.html. The make dir is again specific to Linux. The make dir task stands for make directory. It will help you create a directory. The move command will help you move a specific file or set of files or directories. The replace will help you replace the occurrence of a given string with another string in a file or set of files. Pretty self-explanatory. So in here we wanted to replace the following token with this value in this file. All the HTML files residing in the current directory, source directory. The replace regular expression will help you replace the text that matches with the following regular expression with the following. And here is the file that you wanted to perform that operation on. You can manipulate the file permission of set of files depending on what type that you give inside the set permissions tag. And this is specific to Linux as well. And you probably know what touch command does in Linux. If you've ever worked with application servers, then this will come in handy. Again, this is Linux specific. Alright, I think that's it on tasks. Pretty easy stuff. I'll see you soon.